Hey everybody, how's it going? So a lot of you have been asking me to do a video on this $1,000 monitor stand that Apple has put out, but before I could get into that, what I really need to get into is a much more important point that I am going to be using as the lead-in point to the monitor stand, which is that I don't do YouTube as a living. YouTube for me is a hobby. Many people think I'm raking $20,000 to $40,000 a month in on the whole YouTube thing. I'm not. If I were, I would put some more effort than the kindergarten level effort that I've put into the whole recording setup here. What I do for a living is fix things, teach people how to fix things, do data recovery, that type of thing. This is what I do. YouTube for me is, and most likely will always be, a hobby. If you go back to the videos that I did even 7 years ago, you'll see that one of the first videos I had that did really well was about resellerratings.com. They were going to a lot of merchants that were paying $30 to $90 a month and saying, yeah, you're going to be paying $100 to $1,000 a month. They were bragging about the fact that they have merchants paying $7,000 a month. Essentially, as your business grows for the exact same service, they start charging you way more money, and if you don't pay it, they yank all your reviews, which then get pulled off of Google, which at the time was mostly prioritizing reseller ratings reviews. Very screwed up, but it's something that I went over, and what I do on this channel, for the most part, is I go over things that matter to me. So, ICE has rated a store. That matters to me. I went over some of that in 2013. Or, here's something that I find relevant to me when trying to run a small business. I'll go over that. That matters to me. Or I'll go over a board repairs. Any sort of stuff like that. I go over the things that matter to me. And this started as a hobby, and this most likely going into the future will continue to be a hobby. If somebody wants me to do an Ask Me Anything, or I get comments on, requesting certain types of videos that I'm interested in, I may do them, but at the end of the day, this is not something I do for a living. Why do I mention that? The reason I mention that is because the way you treat something you do as a hobby versus the way you treat something you do for a living are very different. I rely on my business for my income and for the income for the other 10 or 12 employees that work here. YouTube, for me, being a hobby, is not something that I do for, I don't have to rely on it for income, meaning that it's going to change the way I choose what types of videos I do. So if you go back through my video history, what you will see is that all the videos I do where they're just basic repair jobs are typically 8,000 to 16,000 views, maybe 20 or 30,000 views for the slightly more popular ones. The ones that are informative, that tell you what the difference is between VCCIO and VCore, the ones that show you how to reclaim an LCD connector that you cannot buy online for an A1707 and how to replace the MUX when the LCD sends 52 volts through it due to humidity in the room. Those videos actually teach you how to make money in the field, how to recycle things that other repair shops are not going to be able to recycle, how to start making money if you are new to the field and don't have experience, that type of stuff. Nothing. When I do a video with "fuck Apple" in the title, that will get 400,000, 800,000, 2 million, 4 million views. Now, when I do those videos, I am doing them because Apple has done something that genuinely pissed me off. They lied about data recovery being possible repeatedly, and when they were made aware of it, they continued to have their own employees lie about data recovery being possible while slandering one of my best friends in the industry for 3 years. That pissed me off. You have something where there's an update to the operating system, and oh look, all the screens that Lewis bought that don't have the exact same EDID codes as Apple's don't work anymore. Lewis is out $9,000. Whoops, and we don't care. That's something where I'm going to put that in the title because it affected me almost 5 figures. It costs money to be in this business, and there are a lot of risks involved in being in this business, and sometimes it just pisses me off. But one thing you may notice is that in spite of the fact that those videos are the ones that do the best, that makes up something like less than 7 or 6% of my content. You'll see that I have over 1,000 videos at this point, and the amount of them that are simply "fuck Apple" or "Apple did this" in the title is, while there are probably at least a dozen of them, it is really, as Apple would say, a very small percentage of the overall number of videos that I do. Most of the for every video that I do that's titled "F Apple" or "This is something that Apple did that pisses me off," you'll see that there's probably 20 to 40 videos on "Here's how to get data off a drive with stuck heads," "Here's the difference between VCCIO and VCore," "Here's why you need PP3v3_G3 hot before PPBush G3 hot," and something related to business or something that is actually interesting to me. And there's a reason for that. Now, if I were doing YouTube as a living, I would not be focusing on those types of videos. I would not be spending hours working on drive data recovery videos with Steve and editing them. I would not be uploading videos of Paul boringly doing a 58-minute video, reballing a MUX chip, explaining how to do it properly, explaining how the 58 volts goes there, showing you in another 1-hour video how to reclaim the LCD connector, because those videos don't get any views and they don't make any money. It's stupid. It's YouTube suicide as a content creator, and you can see it in Social Blade with view and subscriber counts. To follow up a successful viral video with a 58-minute educational video, the algorithm will just tell you to go F yourself, as it often does to me. But the reason I do that is because YouTube for me is a hobby. I enjoy, as a hobby, showing people how to follow in the footsteps of my path, which at any given time, if luck didn't go the way I needed it to, would have just flicked me off, and I would have been, probably back to Model Sporting Goods, wearing a name tag, putting price tags on basketballs. I like helping people follow in my footsteps if they would like to make some money in this business, and the opportunity is available to them. They can go over to a recycling center, and there are a bunch of MacBooks that have liquid damage that nobody else wants to buy, and they can grab them. If the opportunity is available for you, I want to help show you that it's there. And I like talking about the topics that I like talking about, whatever they are, whether it's VCCIO versus VCore, or something annoying that Apple did, or it's me just talking about, what a deposit is for in business, or part cost gotcha, or dealing with employees that make excuses. Like, whatever it is, I just like talking about what's on my mind at the time. So the reason I bring this up is because many of you have been asking, commenting, and very recently getting really agitated at the fact that I did not cover this monitor stand that Apple made that it cost $1,000. So this is interesting to many people for a variety of reasons. There's a subsect of the population, a very small percentage, as Apple may say, that believe that Apple products are a little bit on the overpriced side. And they thought it would make funny content to go over and, let's just face it, bash them for the fact that they have the audacity to release a $1,000 monitor stand that people are actually going to buy. Now, I realized that if I did a well-scripted rant, that I went through several takes, I went over everything that made this ridiculous, that I could probably clock in a couple of million, maybe even 5 million views, going over the Apple monitor stand. The problem with that is that I would have to care. I'd also have to be disingenuous because I don't care about the Apple monitor stand one bit. When I do these videos, I am talking about Apple directly costing me $9,000 because they're assholes. I'm talking about Apple making choices that led to their own website denigrating independent repair, saying it's impossible to recover data from a phone, and kind of saying not nice things about my best friend, Jessa Jones. There are reasons for those videos. I had a reason to care. When it comes to the monitor stand, I really don't care. Or even if I do a video on, any of the design flaws that I talk about, I'm talking about specific design flaws in the product. Here we're talking about a monitor stand. So it's a $1,000 monitor stand. Now, I have no reason to care about a $1,000 monitor stand. Apple has never, ever represented themselves as a company that is budget conscious. They have always represented themselves as a luxury brand. This $1,000 monitor stand is not news to me at all in any way, shape, or form. It's not surprising. It's not news. And there's honestly no reason for me to care. If they release a monitor stand that sends 52 volts to the data line for display by, just for the hell of it, then we may have a story. If they release a monitor stand that if you put a monitor that you did not buy from the Apple Store on it, will work until the monitor stand just decides, I'm going to push you off when the owner's not looking and crack the screen so you buy an Apple monitor, then we'd have a story. If we were talking about a monitor stand that cost $1,000, developed fractures and cracks every time you tapped your foot on the floor from the vibrations it made, and then it fell in your expensive monitor, fell on the desk, then we'd have a story. But we don't. This is just a company that makes luxury products at a high price bracket, selling a luxury product at a high price bracket to people who are willing to pay for it. And that's not something that I have any interest in whatsoever. Since I have no interest in it, I didn't cover it. And more people are commenting, like really egging me on to cover something that I really, again, don't care about. If they release a phone like the iPhone 7, that has a lot of the same defects as the iPhone 6 Plus, where it'll have that fault line in the exact same spot where you get stuff like the baseband failures or the audio IC failures or any of that. I will cover it because it's interesting to me. It's engaging to me. And it's relevant. But a monitor stand, I don't care. And here's the beauty about not doing YouTube as a living. By not doing YouTube as a living, I don't have to pretend to give a crap about things that I really don't care about. And I don't have to pander to a group of people solely because pandering to that group of people is how I feed my kitty, charge my bafang, and pay my rent. I make money off of doing repairs and doing data recovery and doing it quickly, efficiently, better than others, and faster than others at a price that is that works for the customer. That's where I make my money. So in that area, in my job, it's not a hobby. There are things that I don't like about my job that I simply have to do because it's my job. It's how I pay my rent. But when it comes to YouTube, I don't want to start doing things that I don't want to do just because doing those things that I don't want to do is necessary in order to gain subscribers, game the algorithm, or keep people happy. And you'll be able to see anytime that I have some sort of viral video and it gets followed up by some, again, I love Paul, but 58-minute video of Paul replacing a connector or harvesting a connector and reballing a mux or something that is educational, but let's face it, doesn't exactly have that wide appeal, you'll see the algorithm just essentially shits on you, doesn't give you subscribers, you stop showing up in people's suggested feeds, and that's fine to me because most of my audience use AdBlock anyways, and I don't really care about the income that comes from YouTube. It is it's paltry in contrast to what I actually make from running this business and having a store in New York City. So I like the fact that I can actually make the content that I want to make, that I can show you what I want to show you, that I can talk about what I want to talk about, and above all, that when something comes up that I really don't care about, that I don't have to pretend to care about it just because it's how I pay my bills. And I like that, and I think I'm going to keep it that way when it comes to YouTube and any of the stuff that I upload in general. So that is why I did not cover any of this stuff regarding the new monitor stand. Again, if you want to buy it, you do you. If you don't want to buy it, you don't do you. Me personally, again, unless that monitor stand gives that monitor the power to allow Ruby Lewis to jump out of it and then actively start singing the lyrics to Cirque du Soleil's Paramore in my room, there's absolutely no way in fucking hell I'm paying $1,000 for a monitor stand, but you already know that, and most of you already knew that. And let's face it, if you are a Mac user and you have even somewhat professional needs, you're probably getting an iMac Pro. The new Mac Pro is not the same Mac Pro that you guys remember from 10 years ago, where recording studios that were serious about what they were doing, or even home studios that were serious about what they were doing, bought it. This new Mac Pro appears to be, this thing's being marketed to the enterprise individual or the individuals that are doing lots of, what's the word? I forget what I'm looking for. Some sort of distributed cluster-like processing where they're going to be going for the $15,000 to $25,000 configuration. And at that point, the $1,000 monitor stand is, for the most part, a rounding error. The people that think a $1,000 monitor stand is ridiculous are the people that, let's face it, they're just not targeting with this machine. And since they have never, ever made it even any sort of remote hint to the fact that they care about their items being budget conscious or budget friendly, I can't say that I care when they release something that is, in my opinion, ridiculously expensive. Again, if this thing starts sending 52 volts to the DisplayPort data lines in the monitor, if the monitor stand just starts randomly cracking and monitors start falling from it, when that has not happened with any other monitor stand, basic monitor stand in history, then by all means, I will be here talking about it. But just the fact that they released a monitor stand, I don't really care, and I don't really care about talking about it. And I fully realize that I am punishing my YouTube channel by that, and so be it. I don't care. I honestly never expected to have more than 300 to 400 subscribers to begin with. 853,000 people is way too many people to keep track of, respond to comments to, respond to phone calls to, respond to mail to, have walking into my store on a regular basis since Manhattan's a tourist location. It's kind of weird having that many subscribers. It's actually very weird, and something that if I knew about ahead of time, if I actually knew that people would be interested in watching my ugly mug and listening to me talk about these boring topics as I do in the way that I do, I probably would not have used a camera, and I would have used a fake name. But not much I can do about it now. So that's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something.